Alrighty, welcome everybody back to the channel. If you don't know who I am by now, my name is David. I also go by MillerFootball, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, if that wasn't apparent. I'm going to be casting my ballot for the 2025 Pro Bowl, and before we get into this, I want to give a quick disclaimer, just so there's no confusion. I am not voting on who I think is the most deserving because they're having the best year or anything like that. This is the Pro Bowl. This isn't the All-Pro. This isn't me giving out end-of-season awards. It's the Pro Bowl. Not something that should be taken seriously. We all know that. This is sending a bunch of grown men who aren't making the Super Bowl to go play flag football and dodgeball. This is goofy. It's silly. It's fun. Keyword there being fun. We are having fun today. So if I start getting comments about, I can't believe you put this player over this player when this player has 1,500 more yards. Guess what? That player with 1,500 more yards, he's just not a player I'm as big of a fan of. I'm sorry. That's just how it's going to be. Like, I'll tell you right now, great example. Go to defensive tackle. I'm going to put Milton Williams on this ballot over a guy like Chris Jones. That's not me trying to make some outlandish claim about Milton Williams and Chris Jones. Chris Jones is very easily the far superior player. Chris Jones might be the best interior defender in football. In fact, he probably is. However, we all know that. Chris Jones is expected to be great, and he's going to make the Pro Bowl if the Chiefs don't make the Super Bowl, because everyone and their mother knows that he is incredible. Milton Williams is somebody that I'm a big fan of and is having a big year. I'm going to give him some recognition. So he's going to get a vote on my Pro Bowl ballot. And at the end of the day, if you really have a problem with my votes, go make your own ballot and cancel mine out. You know, like if you're really pressed that I'm putting Milton Williams over Chris Jones, go make a ballot, just vote for Chris Jones and completely cancel out my vote. You know, like it's not that deep. Promise, this is fun. This is going to be fun. I will be, giving some analysis. So this isn't just me going, I like that one and that one and that one and moving on. That's not a video. But I figured if I'm going to make this ballot anyways, I might as well record it, talk about some of my picks. So we're going to go ahead and start out with the offense here with quarterbacks. And I'm going to go conference by conference is the way we're going to do this. So starting out with AFC quarterbacks. I know I just said I'm not just going to pick the best guys, but I do have to pick Josh and Lamar. They are two of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. They are my two front runners for MVP at this current moment. And I mean, how can you not like these guys? Lamar Jackson is probably the most exciting player in all of football. He can run around you, juke around you, spin around you, and then hit like a crossbody throw with perfect precision to some receiver you've never heard of for a massive touchdown. Or he can run around your favorite defender, make them look absolutely silly, and then hit them with like a middle school Vine level highlight. He's incredible. He is absolutely unreal, has the stats to back it up. 3,900 yards, 32 touchdowns. He's incredible. Josh Allen, same thing. He's just so fun to watch. He's such a likable guy. Not that Lamar isn't likable. He's also an incredibly likable guy. I just got done watching the video of Josh Allen doing his My Cause, My Cleats with the two kids from the Children's Hospital. So Josh Allen being an absolute saint is fresh on my mind. But they're both super fun quarterbacks, super great guys. They deserve the recognition. Assuming Buffalo and Baltimore aren't representing the AFC in the Super Bowl, I'm sure these two will be in there, and I'm very happy to add to that. And then my third and final AFC quarterback, gonna go with Justin Herbert. Been one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league for a while now. He's obviously finally getting some of the wins with Jim Harbaugh as his coach now that he doesn't have some moron named Brandon Staley running the ship. He's getting real results. Who would have thought? Who would have thought the second Justin Herbert had a little bit of help, things would start going his favor? There's still people out there that try to swear by wins being a quarterback stat. If you're one of those people, grow up, man. It's not the case. Justin Herbert is easily one of the four most talented quarterbacks in the league. I would say it's the three guys that I've just cast my Pro Bowl ballots for, and then obviously Patrick Mahomes. It's wild to me that Justin Herbert still doesn't get the respect he deserves. And then we move over to the NFC, and right away, I'm going to get the controversial one out of the way. Caleb Williams, my quarterback. I'm a Bears fan. Gotta vote for my guy. The Bears finally have a real quarterback, and I know Caleb still gets a lot of hate. Listen, I don't care. If you're somebody that is still thinking Caleb Williams isn't good, that he sucks, despite the fact that he is having easily the best season a Bears quarterback has had in my lifetime, and is on pace to potentially be the first 4,000-yard passer the team's ever had. If you see that, you see some of the throws he's making week in and week out, you know, whether it's doing something on the run, improvising, making an incredible decisive read from the pocket, picking up big third downs, leading late comebacks that end up getting squandered by idiotic coaching, whatever it may be. If you see all that and you still think Caleb isn't good, I can't help you. Point blank, period. I can't help you. He's been incredible this year in spite of everything going against him. So he's getting my vote. The dogs are barking upstairs because Caleb's got that fucking dog in him. I don't even know if that's picking up. But to be fair, I'm also going to be voting for Jaden Daniels. Offensive Rookie of the Year favorite, at least if we're going to give it to a quarterback, which I assume they probably will. He's been incredible. I will be the first to admit I was very wrong about Jaden in the offseason. I give the Commanders a lot of flack for taking him over Drake May. And while I still think long-term Drake's going to end up being a better quarterback, Jaden Daniels has shown that he can be a franchise-level quarterback in this league. So, this is my way of trying to make amends, trying to say, hey, I was wrong, and I'll give him his flowers here. And then the other NFC quarterback I had to go with, Matt Stafford. Absolutely incredible ball player. Has been one of my favorite quarterbacks my entire life. I'm 21 years old. Since I've started watching football, this guy was tearing it up in Detroit. As a Bears fan, it was always weird to me that there was a quarterback in Detroit that I liked as much as I like Matt Stafford. He's tough, big arm, super smart, really easy guy to root for. He's just an incredible quarterback, and seeing what he's doing in LA despite all of the strife that they've experienced with offensive line injuries, Kupp and Puka being out for extended periods of time, he's really been killing it this year. So just to recap, 6 quarterbacks: Lamar, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert. Then in the NFC, Jaden Daniels, Matt Stafford, and my boy Caleb Williams. All right, now moving over to the running backs, it just occurred to me that I took almost 10 minutes to talk about quarterbacks, so we're going to speed these other positions up a little bit. Starting out, got to go with Saquon and Derrick Henry, obviously the 2 best running backs in football. It's been a pleasure watching both of them. Saquon is on a different level, on a different planet. Easily the biggest acquisition a team made this offseason in terms of free agency. And then Derrick Henry also in that conversation as well. It's been a pleasure watching him week in and week out on tape, especially, considering I watch Pat Ricard for my Fullback Friday uploads, always watching Pat Ricard. So seeing Henry running behind him has been an absolute treat. These two are lighting it up, kind of restoring order, restoring the idea of, running backs having value. So you definitely got to give those two their props. Outside of that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the AFC real quick. Gotta go. Got 3 names I'm looking at here: Najee Harris, Chase Brown, and J.K. Dobbins. I think I'm definitely going to go with J.K. Dobbins, first and foremost. He has been awesome this year, coming off of a, laundry list of injuries. And I know he's hurt again right now. I don't care. I'm still giving him my vote. Had a ton of fun watching him. I really love what the Chargers have done this year, and that will be probably present throughout this ballot. So I definitely want to give JK his flowers. And then I guess I'm going to go with Chase Brown. I was a huge fan of his coming out of Illinois. He's looked great for the Bengals this year. I know they haven't exactly been the best team in the world, but some of their offensive pieces, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, obviously having a huge year. It's not the fault of those guys. It's a historically bad defense that's holding them back. And then in the NFC, got to give my boy David Montgomery a shout. Has been one of my favorite running backs since he came into the league. I miss him dearly in Chicago. And then the other NFC running back I'm going to give credit to is going to be Bucky Irving. Another guy who preseason I wasn't super high on the Bucs drafting because they had Rachaad White. Bucky Irving has very easily been the best running back in Tampa this year. I'm glad to see that he has more yards than Rachaad White. I wish he had more carries than Rachaad White. He actually might. I don't know. But regardless, he's been awesome. I didn't love the Bucs taking him because I thought, him and White kind of had very similar skill sets. They'd almost be a little redundant next to each other. That hasn't been the case. They have found a beautiful balance between the two, and I very, very much like what he's doing in Tampa. So to wrap up the running backs, round out the running backs, whatever. NFC, we've got Saquon, David Montgomery, and Bucky Irving. AFC, J.K. Dobbins, Chase Brown, and Derrick Henry. All right, now we move over to the wide receivers, and the first name I'm going to click on here is Jackson Smith-Njigba. He has been on another planet this year. The fact that he is top 5 in receiving is awesome. Been a big fan of JSN since he came out of Ohio State. Was a little worried last year. Obviously didn't have the greatest rookie year, but this year he has really exploded. Kind of instead of hitting a sophomore slump, he hit that sophomore ramp and just took off into the stratosphere. So I love what he's been doing this year. Also in the NFC, got to go with my boy AJ Brown. Just a receiver I'm a big fan of. No real reason other than that. Obviously, Jalen Hurts hasn't had the best year, so his numbers are down a little bit. But I definitely got to give my boy AJ some props. And then DJ Moore as a Bears fan. I've always loved DJ Moore. I was a big fan of his in Carolina before he came to Chicago. Him getting traded to Chicago is one of my favorite memories as a Bears fan. Right up there with the Khalil Mack trade and with Caleb getting drafted, obviously. So definitely got to go with my boy there. And then in the AFC, I think where I want to start out is Brian Thomas. He's been incredible this year. He was someone that I wasn't, quite as high as I thought I would be on pre-draft. Still had a first-round grade on him. But I was under the impression that he was going to be like one of the three best receivers in the class. Didn't see that from his tape. And now he is the most productive rookie receiver. So perhaps I was wrong there as well. Obviously, Brian Thomas is a very talented player. So definitely want to give him his props. Receiver that I was very high on was Ladd McConkey. I think I had a higher grade on Brian Thomas than Ladd McConkey, but I still loved Ladd. He was somebody that I saw as a day one, plug-and-play starter. He has obviously been that for the Chargers, and then some, the perfect Keenan Allen replacement, kind of adding on to that skill set a little bit as well. So definitely want to give him his props. And then for the other AFC receiver, I'm going to go with George Pickens. And it's not because I'm a big George Pickens fan or anything like that. It's just because knowing him, he's going to find a way to want to fight somebody over flag football. And I need to see that. I need to see George Pickens get in a fist fight over flag football. I think that would be the funniest thing imaginable. So to recap, the receivers here, NFC, we got JSN, AJ Brown, and DJ Moore. AFC, we got Ladd McConkey, George Pickens, and Brian Thomas. Now we move to fullbacks. And listen, NFL fans, I got a bone to pick with you. And more specifically, I guess I got a bone to pick with the NFL itself. I hate the way that the fullbacks are organized on here, and I hate the way it has led people to vote. Because the two highest vote getters, to my knowledge, maybe this has changed, are Kyle Juszczyk and Carson Steele. You can see why they're the two highest vote getters. They are listed first because they have the most yards. If we are evaluating fullbacks in the big 2024 by how many yards they have, we're doing it wrong. It's not a position that requires yards at all. Sure, it's a great added bonus, but Carson Steele, he has 182 yards. Not a great season. He has been easily the worst fullback out of this crop. Pretty easily. As a blocker, he has been essentially a non-factor. He has 3 fumbles. He's not having a big year. So I don't understand why we want to rank them this way. I hate that we're ranking them this way. In fact, just to hammer that opinion home, in my opinion, for my money, the best fullback in the league this year has been Pat Ricard, and he has 8 yards on the season. Ignore the 2 touchdowns. That's not why we're voting for him. I know that kind of contradicts a little bit because he has scored the most out of every fullback. But no, Ricard has been the best because of his blocking. What he has done for Derrick Henry this year, as I mentioned when I was voting for Derrick Henry, has been a treat. He has been incredible. In my opinion, like I said, best fullback in the league this year. Although he's not the best fullback in the league overall. You can be the best in a specific year without being the best overall. For example, with quarterbacks, Mahomes is very easily the best quarterback in football. He's having a down year, so he's not quite the best in the league this year. He's not quite the best in the league this year. Guy like that, Kyle Juszczyk for the 49ers, obviously they're having a down year as a whole, so he's just not seeing the field quite as much. And when he is, he's not getting to do his usual stuff. It's been a lot simpler. And it's not because of him. It's just because of the injuries and the way the 49ers have been this year. But he's still rocked. So he's going to get my vote. And I know it wants me to pick 6 fullbacks. I'm only going to do 4 just because I don't want to oversaturate the fullback voting pool. because I know a lot of people don't take this seriously. So then it gets a little tough, because obviously in the NFC I have 3 options. I have Hunter Lipke, Adam Prentice, and CJ Ham. CJ Ham's great. He does his thing. He does a lot of like pass pro. That's where he excels, and that's fantastic. But I'm going to give my vote to Adam Prentice for the NFC, just because I feel like he deserves a little more credit. I would say if I was voting just purely based off of for the other guy who's the best, CJ Ham, like easily, no question about it. He's one of the 4 best fullbacks in this league. In my opinion, the big 4 are Juszczyk, Ricard, Ingold, and Ham. So I'm going to give Adam Prentice the vote because the Saints have been bad, but Prentice has been very good. He has quietly been putting together a great season in New Orleans. Obviously, early in the year, I did a video about him and Taysom Hill as blockers, and Prentice has continued that streak. Hill obviously got more into like an actual ball carrier role with the Saints this year. So regardless, Prentice has rocked. He's going to get my vote. In the AFC, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not voting for Ingold, not because Ingold hasn't been the second best fullback in the AFC, because he absolutely has, bar none. Instead, I'm voting for Scott Matlock. He has been, in my opinion, an incredible surprise. Somebody that switched to the fullback position right before the season, used to play D tackle, now is playing fullback. He's rocked, has absolutely lit it up for the Chargers. I know I have voted for a Charger on every single position so far. That did not register with me until just like right this second. But yeah, this is going to be my 4. NFC going with Juszczyk and Prentice, AFC going with Ricard and Matlock. 2 guys that are obviously the best of the best, and then 2 guys who are playing really well, but not getting the credit they deserve. So I want to give them their flowers. All right, moving over to tight ends now. Got to go with my favorite player in the league, first and foremost, Mr. Cole Kmet. I don't care if he has 2 yards. I don't care if he has 2,000 yards. He is getting my vote no matter what. Obviously, if the Bears offensive coordinators remember he existed, he would have more yards. He's a great player. So definitely going to get my vote there. And then rounding out the NFC, going to go with Cade Otton. Had a ton of fun watching him this year in Tampa. Very, very fun tight end to watch. And then also George Kittle. Going to go with him as well. One of my favorite tight ends in the league. A very, very entertaining player. Funny guy. He grew up a Bears fan. So obviously I got a soft spot for him, even though he just tore up the Bears this past week. And then in the AFC, I'm going to start out with Jonnu Smith. I've been a huge fan of the season he's been having. Really turned it up, especially the last like 5 or 6 weeks. So I want to give him his props, finally like having his big year after kind of being a middle of the pack tight end for most of his career. Also in the AFC, staying in that same division, got to plant my flag on Austin Hooper. The big debate, Austin Hooper versus Mo Alley Cox. I know where my loyalty lies. I'm an Austin Hooper guy through and through. And then the other AFC tight end, Bowers is the obvious choice, but I'm going to go with David Njoku, player I have more fun watching. And also he has been stuck with horrible quarterback play. And I know that Bowers has been too, but, obviously Njoku has bigger problems off the field with his quarterbacks. So I feel bad. So I'm going to give him the vote. So again, in the NFC, wrapping up here, Cole Kmet, Cade Otton, and George Kittle. In the AFC, Jonnu Smith, David Njoku, and Austin Hooper. All right, moving over to the offensive linemen. We're going to do this all in one go. Starting at a tackle, I'm going to vote for my boy Darnell Wright, one of my favorite players in the league. He's been the lone bright spot on the Bears line this year. And then my other 2 NFC tackles, where do we want to go here? I'm going to go with Jordan Mailata. Big soft spot for the guy. As a theater kid, him and I are cut from the same cloth, I like to think, even though that's not true. That man is far more athletic than I could ever dream of being. But I love him. I'm going to give him the vote. And then my other NFC tackle, where do I want to go here? Could go with the default and just go Tristan Wirfs because he rocks. Could go with Penei Sewell, but no, he's a Lion. I am going to go with Talise Fuanga. Been a big fan of his this year. I loved him coming out of Oregon State. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the nod. Reminded me a lot of Darnell Wright. He's played a lot like Darnell Wright this year. And then in the AFC, let's let's see here. We're going to go with, first and foremost, Bernard Ryman, someone I'm a big fan of. I have loved his progression over the past couple years from kind of like a project tackle into a very, very good starting left tackle. Also got to go with Joe Alt, was obviously one of the best tackles in the league. Very early on in the season, has continued that throughout the year. And then the final tackle I'm going to go with here in the AFC. I think just for the brand, I got to go with Colton Miller. Colton Miller, MillerFootball. You know how it goes. I think I'm happy with those 6 tackles. Moving over to the guards here. First and foremost, got to go with Jackson Powers Johnson. Just because he helped keep the Chiefs' undefeated season alive a little bit longer. One of my favorite plays of the year. On top of that, sticking with the AFC, going to go with Daniel Falele just because funny, massive guard. Again, remember, I'm not taking this super seriously. So the biggest guard in the league, one who, even though he's not fantastic, makes me laugh. And I was a big fan of his coming out of college too. I want to give him a nod. And then just to be serious for one of these, I am going to go with not Landon Dickerson, but Trey Smith, one of the best guards in the league, going to be a free agent this year, hopefully, hoping he can go to the Bears. Then in the NFC, going to start out with Cody Mock, just because look at that face. How could you not want to vote for Cody Mock? And then the other 2 guards I am going to give credit to. Dominic Pooney, someone I was a little wrong about in the preseason. He's been very, very good this year for the 49ers. And then the other guard we are going to go with is Mekhi Becton. Shout out to him for kind of having a little bit of a career resurgence with Philly. And then finally wrapping up the offense with centers. I'm going to have to start with the NFC here. And we're going to start with Cooper Beebe and Hjalte Froholt. Cooper Beebe has been awesome this year. Has really handled the transition to center well for Dallas. And then Hjalte's had quietly a very, very good year. And then also in the NFC, going to go with Eric McCoy. If you watch my podcast at All the Run the North podcast, link in the description, we have joked many times that Eric McCoy might be the most valuable player in the league because the Saints offense immediately went to shit when he got hurt, and now he's back. So he's getting my vote, one of the most underrated centers in the league, clearly. And then in the AFC, I want to start off with Zach Frazier, who has been a monster for Pittsburgh this year, coming out of West Virginia. I'm a West Virginia fan myself. And then also got to go with Tyler Linderbaum, staying in that same division, one of the best centers in the league. And Aaron Brewer has quietly been very, very good for the Dolphins this year. So I'm going to give him my vote as well. And I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, I don't see anything I want to change. So we can go ahead and move on to the defense. All right, so defensive ends, starting out in the AFC, obviously giving a vote to Danielle Hunter. You guys know I made a big video on him. He has looked great this year. Definitely want to give him his credit. Also in the AFC, got to go with Keon White, another guy I made a video on. I want to give him his flowers as well. And then Josh Hines Allen is just my favorite edge, not on the Bears. So I want to give him his flowers. And then in the NFC, gonna vote for Montez Sweat. He's my boy. I'm very biased in that regard. And then the other 2 NFC picks, we'll give Leonard Floyd a shout. Having apparently a very, very productive year. Had a big day against my Bears for sure. And then the other NFC defensive end, where do we want to go here? There's someone down here lurking. I don't know where I want to go with this vote. To be totally transparent, I don't know. We will go with Josh Sweat. Why not? Why not? You know what? I like Josh Sweat. He's a good ball player. So we will give him that vote for sure. And then we go to the interior of the defensive line. We'll do all the defensive linemen together. Starting the NFC, got to go with my boy Gervon Dexter. He's had a massive year. Greatly improved from last year. Very, very impressed with his production. Also got to go with Milton Williams. Obviously, I said that going into the video that I would be voting for Milton. So we're going to give him a shout. And then I'm going to go with Kobe Turner. Another guy I'm a huge fan of, in my opinion, robbed of Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Just an incredible football player. I know his teammate Braden Fisk has been a little more productive, but I still hold true that Kobe Turner is the best player on that Rams defense. And I don't think it's much of an argument personally. But regardless, Javon, Milton, and Kobe in the NFC. And then in the AFC, we will start with Cam Hayward, the old man having a big year in Pittsburgh. Love to see it. Also want to give Nnamdi Madubuike a shout, another player I have made a video on this year. And then I'm going to give Tershawn Wharton a vote. Someone I've always quietly been a fan of, and by always I mean over the last 2 years. I don't know, it's just fun. It's a fun player to vote for. So the NFC, Gervon Dexter, Kobe Turner, Milton Williams. AFC, we're going Cam Hayward, Nnamdi Madubuike, and Tershawn Wharton. I don't know. Is there anything else I want to say about any of these guys? Cam Hayward has been having a great year. I think he should genuinely make it. My goofy having fun vote aside, he has had an unreal year. You know what? Tershawn, I love you, but I do have to give Zach Allen a shout, man. He's been unreal for Denver. So yeah, I will change that. And the Nnamdi, one of my favorite interior linemen in the league. Same with Milton, same with Kobe, same with Gervon. These four straight up are getting voted in just because I'm a big fan. Sorry, Tim Settle. You do not fall in that group. You are the odd man out with this little L shape here. And then Zach Allen and Cam Hayward just having big years. So I think that's good for the defensive line. That extra NFC defensive end is killing me, but I think I'm very okay with it being Josh Sweat. Yeah, we're good there, and we can go ahead and move to linebackers. All right, so moving on to inside linebackers, gotta vote for Zach Bond out the gate. I've been a huge fan of his. I keep meaning to make a video on him, but now I think everyone's kind of tuned into the fact that he's been incredible, so no real point in making it now. I'm also going to vote for TJ Edwards. Has had a huge year for my Bears. Has been absolutely incredible. Then the other NFC linebacker, I'm going to vote for Fred Warner by default. I know he's the best in the league, and this isn't exactly an inspired pick or anything like that. But listen, man, he's the best in the league for a reason. He's one of my favorite players I've ever gotten the pleasure of watching live. When I say live, I mean their career transpiring while I'm actually watching football. I've never watched him play live. Hopefully I will one day. But regardless, moving over to the AFC, Diane Henley has been on another planet this year. Really love what I've seen out of him. Got to go with Jordan Brooks as well. He's had a very, very big year for the Dolphins. And the final AFC linebacker, Azeez Al-Shaair. Fuck that guy. Is there anyone here I want to make a biased claim for in the AFC? Not particularly. We will go with... Wait, they have Zaire Franklin. Do they have EJ Speed? They don't. Oh, that sucks. We'll go with Zaire Franklin, though. I love the Colts linebacker core. EJ Speed's my boy. I really wanted to cast a vote for Speed, but alas. I think Franklin, Henley, and Brooks is fun to represent the AFC, and then the NFC, Bond, TJ Edwards, and Fred Warner. Definitely happy with that. And then we go to the outside linebackers here. Well, this might be where EJ Speed is. They might lump them together. They do. EJ Speed, off rip, is getting my vote. One of my favorite players in all of football. I love EJ Speed. Gonna vote for Khalil Mack as well. Just, as a Bears fan, I have a soft spot for Khalil Mack. And then the other edge, outside linebacker, whatever you want to call him. I guess this is technically outside linebacker because you do have some coverage guys mixed in. But then I'm going to vote for in the AFC. I'm going to give Nicholas Herbig a shout. Really, really been impressed by what he's been doing in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, they just got another one of them ones from Wisconsin. I loved him coming out. I really like what they've been able to turn him into. There was the concern about whether or not he'd be able to translate to an edge full-time, and he has done a fantastic job of doing so. And then in the NFC, as much as I hate to say it, got to give Van Ginkel a shout. He has been incredible this year. Frankie Louvu is another guy I have loved. And honestly, Frankie Louvu, in my opinion, is having like an all-pro caliber season. So I definitely want to give him that shout there. And Van Ginkel, the reason I say I hate to say it, obviously a Vikings player, but he has just been so consistent and has done so much of the dirty work for the Vikings this year. And then I got to give Jared Verse as well, who has been unreal for the Rams. Definitely the defensive rookie of the year, if you ask me. I said the Rams got robbed of one last year. I think they're going to get it this year with Verse. So yeah, EJ Speed, uh, Nicholas Herbig, and Khalil Mack from the AFC. I'm starting to lose my voice. I apologize. And then Frankie Louvu, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Jared Verse in the NFC. I'm definitely very happy with that grouping. Also, holy shit, Will McDonald is still high in sacks. I did not realize that. I knew he was for the longest time. I didn't know he was still up there. That shows you how often I'm checking statistical leaders. Maybe I should do that more often so I'm not surprised when I see stuff like that. All right, rounding out the defense here to, be able to move to special teams, we're going to go ahead and do all of the DBs together. Obviously, got to vote for my boy Jalen Johnson, one of the best corners in football. Enough said there. Let's see your other two NFC corners. If this was a year ago, I'd totally give Tyreek Stevenson a shout, but not this year. He has been pissing me off. Kyler Gordon, I'm also giving a shout to. I don't care. I'm fully biased. He's one of the best nickels in football. That's not biased. He is an incredible nickel. He's been one of the few Bears players this year that has actually shown the hell up. Defensively, it has really been the guys I voted for. So I'm going to give my boy that there. And then also Quinion Mitchell has been out of this world. Guantanamo Bay, definitely want to give him a shout. He's another guy that is in the running for Defensive Rookie of the Year, obviously. And then in the AFC, Beanie Bishop, I'm a West Virginia fan. Gonna give him that credit there. Christian Gonzalez, one of my favorite players in the league, one of my favorite prospects I've ever evaluated. Obviously having a huge year for the Patriots. Not that it's amounted to a whole lot for the Patriots, but he's great. And there's some other guys on that defense that are certainly prepping to make for a very, very good future team. And then the final AFC corner. Who do we want to go with here? I think I'm just going to go with Trent McDuffie. He is an incredible corner. Obviously, doesn't need a whole lot of introduction or explanation. Always been a big fan of his game. So we'll give him that. We jump to strong safeties here. Let's see who they consider a strong safety. NFC-wise, got to give Brian Branch a vote. As much as I hate the Lions, he's an incredible football player. Someone that I wish was on another team so I could say that I'm a huge fan of him. I'm also going to give Malik Mustafa a shout. He has been very, very impressive for the 49ers this year in Talanoa Hufanga's absence. And the other NFC strong safety we're going to go with is going to be Harrison Smith. He's another guy that in the NFC North that I've never been able to truly hate. So I want to give him his credit. AFC-wise, Kyle Hamilton, best safety in football. Nick Cross, loved him coming out of Maryland. He's having a big year, at least statistically. I honestly haven't watched a lot of his tape, so I don't know if that's backed up by anything other than the numbers. And then we will go with Grant Delpit. I've always liked his game a lot. In the Browns, I don't know. I want to say I feel bad for him, but I don't. They made the bed they lay in currently. And then free safeties. Definitely not voting for Kirby Joseph. That guy is a piece of shit. I will vote for Kevin Byard, who has rocked for the Bears this year. I will, so you're staying in the NFC, vote for Antoine Winfield, one of the other best safeties in the league. And we will wrap the NFC up with Jesse Bates, because he's also an incredible player. And then AFC, we will go with Javon Holland. I've always been a big fan of his. And then we need two more. Kyle Duggar, love a run defending safety. And Trayvon Merrick, just to make up for the fact that when I made my Raiders video the other day, I said that there weren't a lot of bright spots on the Raiders, and he was one of the guys I overlooked. So that will be all of defense, and now we can wrap things up with special teams. All right, so starting us off with kickers here, I'm just going to pick 2 from each conference. And God, who do you pick? Chris Boswell has been automatic. He's one of the guys that hasn't missed a whole lot. Same with Dicker the kicker. No, I will give those 2 a shout for sure from the AFC. And then the NFC. Is anyone good at kicking? Will Reichard has been very, very good for the Vikings. I know he has a couple misses, but, still better than a lot of the alternatives. And then the other NFC kicker. I don't know, man. We'll go Eddie Money. I'm going to go with him or McLaughlin. Go with Chase McLaughlin, I guess. Sure, that works. Kickers are in a very weird spot. Long snappers. I know Scott Daly apparently has been unreal according to PFF, so sure. And then AFC wise, I don't know. Luke Rhodes is a name I recognize, so we will go with him. Punters, again, we're going to go with 2. I know I only did 1 long snapper each. I think that's fair. Punters, got to go with Torrey Taylor. Bears spent a 4th round pick on him for a reason. And then the other NFC punter, we'll go with Johnny Hecker, good old reliable. And then in the AFC here, we'll go with Tommy Townsend. He has the most punts inside the 20. And Behringer, he's a kind-looking fellow. He's got those glasses. He just seems like he'd be a nice guy to get a handshake from. So we'll go ahead and get... Actually, they want me to pick... No, we're going to stick with 4. Return specialists. Oh, no, I wish they showed me touchdowns because I know a couple guys have scored. I'm going to vote Cooper DeJean here because I didn't vote for him with the DBs. I know Sean Tucker has a touchdown, so I'll give him a shout there. And then Blackshear, I'm pretty sure, has a touchdown. Defensive, or AFC-wise, actually, no, I want to give my vote to DJ Dallas. And then in the AFC, we will go with Xavier Gibson. We will go with Amir Smith-Marsette's on the Giants now. We will go with Josh Downs, North Carolina guy. And Malik Washington, because he was someone I liked a lot coming out of the draft. And then for special teamer, special teamer, Daniel Hardy has been lighting dudes up this year for the Bears, dude. Tommy Eichenberg, loved him coming out of Ohio State, so we'll give him a shout. Like I said in my draft grades video, if he is not a great linebacker in the league, he would be an all-pro special teamer. I actually don't know if he's been an all-pro special teamer, because I won't lie, I have not watched the Raiders special teams. Sue me. Schooler, I know, has had a couple plays. Brady Russell plays some fullback, so we will give him a vote here. And so what, 2 and 2 for each? Any other fullbacks in here, just to make sure? Does not look like it. We'll go Felipe Franks, because that dude used to play quarterback. Is that even who that is? Yeah, it looks like Felipe Franks. If it's not, oh well. And then I need another AFC guy. I don't know what these guys do. Go with Ashton Doolin. That's a name I at least recognize. So that's it. That's everybody. That's 110 votes for MillerFootball. Go ahead and submit. And there you have it. There is my Pro Bowl ballot for the 2025 season as it submits. We'll go ahead and outro here. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This was something different. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like something more like this. I know this was just kind of me rambling and it was pretty nonsensical. A lot of things didn't make sense. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below. It helps out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows you care, and I really do appreciate it. Comment down below. Tell me what you think about my ballot. Again, keep in mind, I wasn't trying to vote for the best guys at every position. I was voting for guys I like. Point blank, period. So I hope that is apparent. And if I see any comments that are like, you put Caleb Williams over Jared Goff, like, yeah, man, I'm a Bears fan. Likely thing for me to do, So, make sure to let me know down in the comments below what you thought. And also make sure to subscribe for more NFL content Like I said, typically we're doing film breakdowns on here. This is something a little bit out of my wheelhouse, so we're going to see how it goes. And to everyone out there watching, I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it because you're all wonderful people and you truly do deserve it.
Had a chance on the throwback. This was an ill-advised throw. What an unbelievable catch by Cole Kmet. And he cups it too. No movement when he hits the ground, tucked up against his shoulder. Wow. Using that